What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, Joker back again once again, and today we are back with another amazing flex video. The greatest flexes in Destiny lore, part 4, Iron Lordo Edition. And you have to say, Iron Lordo Edition, or else it's cultural appropriation, because as you can see, all their armor is based on samurai armor. So yeah, duh, it just makes sense. Now, it's been a little bit of time since we've done a greatest flexes in Destiny video. Because, well, let's be perfectly honest. You guys failed miserably to reach that 10k like goal. It was close. So very close. But close only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and Destiny snipes. But because I'm a sucker for a redemption arc, Lord knows I'm waiting for Bungie and Destiny to have theirs, I'm going to give you guys another chance to flex on me. If this video reaches 9k likes within the next week, Greatest Flexes in Destiny Part 5 will be out, well, within the next week. Fail to do that, and I'll make it whenever I feel like it. But enough talk. Have at ye. First flex. Now, in my previous flex videos, we covered the one, the only, the amazing, the Efrideet, where the Lady Efrideet picked up Lord Saladin and threw him off a mountain, sending him 20 miles below in a blazing fist of havoc to crash into a bunch of fallen and kill a walker, and it was all really freaking cool. Then in another flex video, we talked about how Lord Saladin, while fighting a wish dragon, wished that the wish dragon resembled a real dragon. And all of those flexes are cool, but they lack a certain je ne sais quoi. They're not, I just did my makeup and my wings, now let's go kick some ass levels of flexing. So no shit, there the Iron Lords were. In a valley below a tower castle, its crumbling stone walls patched with glossy sheets of metal and glass. The castle entrance was a wrought iron portcullis, flanked by 2 motion-sensing turrets. In the valley below, just out of the turret's range, rests a golden gray transport ship. The Iron Lords had come to challenge a warlord by the name of Rience. Perun and Radagast are returning from Rience's castle. He has accepted their challenge of single combat, and the Iron Lord's champion will be Lady Yolder. Perun walks up the ship's gangplank and heads to Lady Yolder's room to deliver the news that Rience has accepted their challenge. Yolder is of course getting ready. And that's when we get this interaction. "I'm almost ready," Yolder said before Perun could speak. Yolder stood next to a chest full of weapons, armor, and other gear. She flashed Perun a bright smile as she clenched the strap of her golden and white cuirass. The corners of Perun's mouth twitched. "I've come to tell you that Rience has agreed to single combat. Guess I don't need to." Yolder smiled. "Figured he would. Your plans always have a way of working out." Perun leaned against the doorframe. "Saladin and Efrideet both volunteered to be your second." Yolder took a pair of gauntlets out of a chest and put them on. "Saladin's better at staying calm under pressure. We need a second, it's 'cause you're dead. No one will be calm." "Right. Efrideet then. She fights better when she's angry." Yolder tightened the straps on her gauntlets and made a fist. "Hold this." She handed Perun a shield, golden, and reflective as a mirror. Perun rolled her eyes, but held the shield up, front towards Yolder. Yolder took a small pot of black liquid and a thin brush out of a chest, then stood in front of the shield, and began lining her left eye with coal. Who are they sending? "Melg. Do you know that? Or do you just know?" "Just know," Perun said. "Rience will figure we'll send you. So, how to respond? He thinks bigger is better. So, Melg." Yolder smiled. "Tell Rience he can send 2. Otherwise," Yolder finished the line of coal with a flick from her wrist, leaving a sharp black wing at the corner of her eye. "My battle paint will be for nothing." Perun chuckled dryly without smiling. "Not the best tactical move, but it'll be more fun." So first of all, to all those people who want to bitch about women wearing makeup while fighting, nah fam, it's just war paint. Lady Efrideet had to make sure her wings were on fleek before going into combat. I mean, that's like the ultimate power move. And on top of that, she's not even scared of Rience's champions. She's like, send both. I'll punch that too. And she plans on looking damn good while flexing on them in the ways of old. And I'm just going to be honest real quick. I'm going to take a moment. I think Bungie blew their loads with the Iron Lords in Rise of Iron. For as developed as characters as they were, they're actually pretty fucking underdeveloped. And a lot of that has to do with them being killed off well before they have a chance to really shine. So everything that we learn about them has to be further back in history. Then again, after looking at Anna Bray, Osiris, Rasputin, with Saint 14 seemingly being the only legendary hero to emerge unscathed from Bungie's writing team, Maybe it's a good thing that the Iron Lords are dead. Regardless, Lady Yolder is a titan after my own heart. Next flex! Quite possibly one of the most infamous Iron Lords to ever exist is Lord Felwinter, and everybody who played Destiny 1 Year 1 is well acquainted with his lie. I mean, this motherfucker said this was a shotgun. Clearly, it wasn't. I've seen snipers with less range. This shotgun single-handedly, with maybe Thorn and Last Word tied for second in Destiny 1 Year 1, has had ramifications that echo in Destiny PvP to this day. Felwinter's Lie was the first weapon that necessitated Bungie removing perks from the game when they removed Shot Package. Felwinter's Lie and other shotguns like it were so prevalent, so egregiously overpowered, that in Destiny 1, by the end of Year 3, Bungie had to make shotguns virtually unusable, and Destiny 2, we started with shotguns as heavy weapons. I mean, think about that. The legacy of Felwinter's Lie is so hard felt that at the beginning of Destiny 2, Bungie had to uproot a fundamental design of the game in order to try to balance PvP, and then got flexed on so hard by the player population dying off that they had to spend another year unfucking the game. All because back in the day, Felwinter and his lie flexed on the entire Destiny community. Next flex! Okay, so did I break that intro section into its own piece because by the end of writing it, I realized how much of a flex one single gun single-handedly changing, altering the entirety of Destiny was? Yes. But I really do want to talk about Felwinter and the time that a Voidwalker used Knee of Justice. Deep inside a clandestine stronghold sat the dark horse, Felwinter, and Chitin, warlord of the 32nd sector of Old Russia. A polished obsidian table rested heavily between them. Didn't think you'd have the courage to come back here, said the warlord. Situational awareness, not courage. I go where I can do the most good. Thank you for seeing me. Felwinter's voice sounded as hollow as his helmet. Chitin wanted to knock it clean off the Iron Lord's bony shoulders. He could do it, with a single punch. As I recall, you used to have a throne on that light-forsaken peak, till you joined the Wolves. You're the only warlord I know who held an entire mountain. Felwinter Peak, no one ever calls it that. The Iron Lords do. Though, they did ask me to take that throne down. Chitin's laugh shook the room. How is losing territory ever a good thing for a warlord? Felwinter folded his hands atop the table. Underneath it, Chitin made two fists. A crescent of light flickered between them. Join us and find out, said the Iron Lord. Turn your sector over to us. You can still patrol it, of course. Chitin's voice lowered. Of course. You know I'll refuse. Then we'll put you down and take your territory by force. Over and over again, if we have to. I invite you into my home after you abandon us and you come to threaten me? The warlord stood, towering over Felwinter. To broker peace, Chitin thought that even the voice behind the helmet didn't believe what it said. The floor shuddered as the warlord upended the massive table with one hand. It smashed into the opposite wall as tendrils of void light passed through it and coalesced into Felwinter's leaping form. Chitin had seen this parlor trick before and judged that he could hammer the Iron Lord out of the air. But Felwinter's momentum continued into a knee lift that smashed into Chitin's head as the larger man reared back to strike. The warlord fell, the front of his helm shattering. Felwinter landed next to Chitin's prone body. Lady Yolder taught me that. I can't say that the Iron Lords haven't done me any favors, the voice intoned. You know we'll burn the world before we let the Iron Lords rule it. The larger man gasped, breathing out of his mouth, his face a bloody mess. The void light in Felwinter's hands snapped. And so did the warlord's neck. Radagast is scattered. Perun is indecisive. Silmar wants to build a tower to hide. But they're going to change the world. No one can stop them, Felwinter said quietly to the corpse. He parted his coat and drew a bronze shotgun. Will it be for the better? I don't know. But they mean to end the fighting. So, I don't have to sleep with my back against the wall every night, light in my hand. And that's not nothing. He paused, as if waiting for something. Normally, this is where I ask you to reconsider. To tell you that you should come with me. See how powerful your light can become. But I know you, Chitin. What you do with the land you take, with its people, the other lords, especially Saladin, might let you walk away. I'm not going to give them the chance. Chitin's ghost sparked from above, bearing its eye to bear on its fallen charge. The warlord emerged from a radiant column, a frenzied shout on his lips. Felwinter's shotgun cracked like thunder, once for the warlord, and again for his ghost. Next flex! Now, I would be remiss in my duties if I talked about Felwinter's excellent sniper, and I didn't talk about Lady Efrideet's excellent sniping. Like, the comments would literally fucking riot. However, this is one of those moments that we really should have gotten an entire lore book on. But because this is Destiny and we can't have nice things, this was before lore books. So, unfortunately, it was hidden away as a footnote on a ghost shell, sold in the cash shop during year 1. So the Red War hits us, stamps us down, tries to knock us out. Guardians have lost their light. At the end of Destiny 1, during the Rise of Iron DLC, Lady Efrideet comes back to the Iron Temple to oversee the Iron Banner in Lord Saladin's stead. After the Red War, and Lord Saladin completely flexing on us by making us an Iron Lord during Rise of Iron, then completely forgetting who we were, the Iron Banner rolls around. Lady E is nowhere to be found, and people are wondering what happened. Did she die? Well, we learn exactly what happens in the Cosmos Ghost Shell, where we're presented with one incredible flex. The old doubts came back when the light went out, but the iron in her bones, worn and rusted as it was, never buckled. The light was gone, but holding a sniper rifle felt right. She marched into the city beneath a refugee's hood, took up roost in a building with a white rabbit, and killed 216 Cabal with 199 bullets. She cried when the traveler woke before her eyes. At her hip, a radio blinked to life. It had gone quiet when the Red Legion attacked. She answered it with trembling fingers. "I know," she said. "I can see it. I can feel it. Even the stars are brighter now," said the voice over the radio. "The whole cosmos is ablaze." She closed her eyes. "I can't wait to see it. I'm coming home." Efrideet out. So massive flex on Lady Efrideet's part. 216 Cabal with 199 bullets. That's some good math. That's some good return on investment. I don't care who you are. That's just good marksmanship. That's what we've been hyped up for. That's what we got. So, without further ado, next flex! So while there wasn't much to talk about on the last flex, 199 bullets, 216 Cabal, that's impressive, but that's one of those things, it is what it is, what it is. These lore entries are brought to us via a book called A Man with No Name. These are a series of lore entries that give us insight to the Drifter's past. This was during the Dark Age when the Drifter was going by the name Wu Ming. He had a bar at the foot of a mountain that some of you might know named Felwinter's Peak. One night, the warlords were back in town, and people, mostly lightless, had crowded into Wu Ming's bar. And of course, as these stories go, these warlords would have the brass balls to attack this bar at the foot of Felwinter's Peak. Because, we wouldn't have a story if they didn't. So of course, these warlords walk into a bar and start demanding everything that isn't nailed down like some two-dimensional thugs. And of course, Lady Efrideet puts a stop to that by trashing everything that isn't nailed down and killing the warlords, which for Lady Efrideet was super easy, barely an inconvenience. Then, when their ghost materializes, she tells them that they're free to go, but she's going to keep their risen. Lady Efrideet then collects her glimmer from the Drifter because they both knew that this was going to happen, and leaves the bodies on the floor for the Drifter to haul all the way up to Felwinter Peak. Now, in a lot of ways, this first section is a huge, massive flex on the part of Lady Efrideet. She goes in and she just kicks these warlords' ass and trashes the Drifter's bar. And then gets paid for it. Massive flex, super awesome. But for the Drifter, this was all worth it. For you see, this was a chance for the Drifter to go up to Felwinter's Peak and talk to Lord Felwinter himself. Some of you might recall that during the Drifter's loyalty quest, we hear about this village that he was settled in, that was used as bait by the Iron Lords and subsequently destroyed. Turns out an Iron Lord named Dryden was being a bit of a naughty boy and orchestrated the whole thing behind the Iron Lord's back. For you see, the Iron Lords have this thing called the Iron Decree, and it forbids things like using little girls as bait. It also forbids things like killing. That's why Lady Efrideet, while at the bar, didn't kill the Risen's ghost. She just put their warlords in timeout. I mean, a dead timeout, but a timeout nonetheless. Anyways, upon reaching the Iron Sanctuary, the Drifter is given an audience with Lord Felwinter. Quote, Wu Ming told him a story about a long-forgotten town far away called Eaton, early in the Age of the Iron Lords. A lord called Dryden had brought food to the town's starving people, but in return he asked to use them as bait to bring a local warlord into position for an ambush. This, Wu had learned, went against the code set out by Lord Radagast, the founder of the Order. Dryden had broken the rules of involving lightless individuals in Iron Lord business, because it was those people the Iron Lords had unified to protect. The town had agreed, of course. What choice did they have? But the ambush had gone horribly wrong. The warlord target had brought an entire fire team to the fight. Eaton's erasure was utter and complete. Though Wu learned later that Dryden had won the battle, he lost every lord under his command, ghost and all. And he committed the additional sin of inflicting final deaths on the warlords he defeated, in an act of bloodlust and rage. In the intervening years, Wu had learned that Dryden had kept this under wraps, and that he and his ghost were now among the most decorated of lords, next to the likes of rising champions like Lord Saladin and Lady Efrideet themselves. Felwinter sat frozen in his chair. It was difficult to tell if he had registered any of what Wu Ming had said. How do I know you're not lying? The hollow voice asked finally. I have live recordings, Wu replied. His ghost transmitted the data stream to Felwinter's ghost, who nodded. Eaton. Who were those people to you? Nothing. Just ghost. You want revenge for people you care nothing about? Is the dark horse of iron for hire? Felwinter stood and politely motioned for Wu Ming to take his leave. Wu sighed, shrugged, and left the chamber. He had a long climb ahead of him. The Exo parted his coat and drew a long bronze shotgun from his side. What do you think? His ghost asked. Call Lord Dryden. Prepare my Iron Banner arsenal. We all know who won that fight. I sort of like the idea of Felwinter as the executioner of the Iron Lords, both inside and outside. Someone's got to do what's got to be done sometimes. And if you can't police your own people, you're no better than the warlords. And that's why this is a massive flex on Felwinter's part. The man has principles. And when wet work needs to get done, when something unpleasant has to happen, he just gets right to work. Next flex! This wouldn't be a flex list if I left off, well, Lord Shax and Lady Efrideet. I'll just let the audio play.
You two remind me of Lady Efrideet and myself. She was my partner once. She likes to throw titans, and some titans like to be thrown.
Dude, I don't know what Shax has going on downstairs, but Lady Efrideet and the Queen of the Awoken, woof, my boy. And with that, we wrap up the greatest flexes in Destiny Part 4, Iron Lordo Edition. Let me know what some of your favorite flexes in all of Destiny lore are in the comments below. Remember to like this video. After all, it is your redemption arc. If you get 9K likes within the next week, Greatest Flexes in Destiny Part 5 will be out, well, within the next week. If you haven't already, subscribe for more Greatest Flexes in Destiny, and if you're feeling generous, feel free to donate to my Patreon. But above all else, like always, stay frosty.